So I took a day trade today, and this one, guys, this one is special. Not because of the outcome or anything, just how it's set up. It was so extremely textbook. It's just one of these setups where you just want to print it out and hang it over your bed because it just had all the confluences. It was so confluenced. And I want to really use the time here. Not gonna rush this video with 3 minutes, but really go into detail here why this was so clean and give you all the confluences. So as always, we start on the high time frame, and we see that we have this structural high here on the 4-hour, and we cleanly sweep this with a proper sweep, not this minimalistic 2-pip sweep, but an actual proper sweep. And we also tap into this nice 4-hour fair value gap here, and this is also on the daily. It just looks clean. Look how this looks. We have this little high here, so it's a daily structure point that is swept as well, and we have this clean daily fair value gap that we properly mitigate here. So I actually rewinded a little more than usual. Normally when I do these rewinds, I rewind until the entry, but this is a nice trade where it makes sense to rewind even a little more and really go through this. I want to also go through my thought process, what I was wanting to see before the entry actually happened, or before the concrete setup happened, so that you can understand a little better. So this was the interest rate news event, and we push up instantly. There's no, or not really a bottom wick, we just push up instantly, causing this massive sweep and this tap into the fair value gap. So what happens 5 or 10 minutes after? We are closing in the middle of this push out, okay, of this news boost, of this huge explosion. So when we see something like that, mostly the market will either do, oh my god, this is so fat. Okay, mostly we will either sweep the bottom, and then we're gonna see the real move higher, something like this. Maybe we sweep London low, something like this, okay? Let me make this a little thinner. Or the other scenario is that we make the opposite. We have news high. So in this moment, okay, we have news high liquidity. The first initial shoot up is liquidity, but also the bottom of that candle is just news liquidity, both sides. So I showed you the bottom variant now. I'm going to show you the other one. The other one is obviously the top one, where we come up, we re-sweep this liquidity, and also the initial sweep of this whole area. We're going to re-sweep this and then see our break of structure. So this is, when I saw this happening, I was licking my lips because the high time frame looked so clean and everything. And also you have to consider on the high time frame, we are so far up without a pullback, so far up. This market is screaming for a pullback at this point. Plus the tap into this high time frame fair value gap is just so clean. So I was really licking my lips. I wanted this news high to get swept and then see the century cleanest shorts ever. And let's fast forward a little bit so we see what happens. We sweep this initial inducement. We're tapping into the fair value gap, which will ultimately trigger the move higher. Okay. And I was getting ready, man. I was like, oh, this is looking good. Then we actually get the sweep here, the re-sweep, and the news liquidity sweep. Okay. So at this point I was like, oh my god, if this gives a clean break of structure, this is gonna be good. Okay. Look, also we have a new trend line here. So this was all shaping up. I was even at this point I was confident that the setup itself will happen. Okay, so we give this trend line a fourth touch and then we break it. Okay, so we have now a first nice leg here with a big fair value gap, and we also now have a close below this. I have to make this a little bigger. We have a close below this structural low here. Okay, so we have a break of structure now, but I'm a 2-leg guy. Okay, I want to either see a nice M15 fair value gap, or at least 2 legs on the M5. So what I want to see is basically just a higher low. Is that a higher low? I always confuse that. Higher low, lower high, lower high. I want to see a lower high, so I need a second leg to make this the lower high, which will also serve as the inducement, okay? So now we come lower, and we obliterate this trend line as expected, and we actually make a second low, a second leg with a new fair value gap, even though it's tiny. And at this point, I was so ready to take this. The target here was London low. I could have gone for the first fair value gap, which is lower, which is down here. But always when you sweep the session or any session, the price can reverse. So I wanted to play it safe. We also have a little demand here below London low that is not fully mitigated. Well, it is mitigated, but not fully. So I just wanted to take my profits at 2R. And I really liked where my entry is, basically right at the inducement. So I was happy with structuring that like that. And then I was just basically waiting for the retracement. And what really makes this even more textbook, okay, is that my entry is above A30 open and above midnight open. So that is another confluence, because this is just above these two lines is high of day territory, so to speak, okay? Just signals us that we are high in price, which is obviously good for sales. We want to sell high, right? And obviously on the high time frame, we couldn't sell any higher. This is just crazy, man. So that's that. But we also just have these huge fair value gaps as magnets, which I probably already said. I'm sorry about that. What else did I want to see? Well, do you see how that happens? The momentum, this is also another clue, okay? See how we chop up here. This is super ugly price action. And then you see how we see the switch in momentum. This is like choppy up, and then first fair value gap since forever is bearish, because we have the momentum switch after stopping everybody out here, okay? All the early sellers get stopped out here. And then the real move happens. It's just how the markets mostly move. So we have the momentum switch confirmed with a second leg. And what I really, really like about this trade is that everything until my TP is mitigated already, okay? What I mean by that, we have, for example, the London low demand here, made an inducement, tapped, okay? Inducement is swept. We tap even into the M5 order block here, so this demand is used, is mitigated, is now a form of liquidity, okay? Then we have this news demand, which is basically not really, well, first of all, I would draw this, if I would draw a demand, okay, I would draw it like this, okay? Because once a structural, or once a demand is retested, its boundary is retested, which is, in my opinion, this high here, then it's considered used, okay? And this demand itself has the catch that it has the news low liquidity right at the bottom. So this makes the demand even weaker. And you see, as the rest that is happening here is all choppy as hell. There's no demand, there's nothing that can potentially reverse price. It's all balanced price action and liquidity pool here resting, obviously session liquidity here resting, and a ton of fair value gaps below. So this could not be cleaner. I couldn't even imagine a way how this trade could be even more clean. Like, it's just crazy, man. When I was seeing that, I was just, oh my God, I can't believe what a beauty setup that is. I don't care if it misses me. I don't care if I lose. I don't care if I win. This is just beautiful price action, man. I was just sitting there like, oh my God, I just want to print it out and hang it over my kitchen, make a copy of it, hang it over my bed, really. So ultimately, I'm lucky enough to get tagged. We sweep this inducement, and we get a couple of rejections and drawdown, as you can see here. And then price just beautifully melts, absolutely melts. So this trade ultimately ended up as a winner without any pullbacks. It just absolutely melted downwards. And this is just a cherry on top, man. I don't care if I lose this trade. I'm just somebody that executes a strategy, man. For me, the magic happens before the entry. And this is just pure magic, man. The setup was so extremely clean, man. So Let me just go over my notes real quick if I didn't cover any confluences, but I think I got them all from memory. 4-hour structure sweep, buy news. Okay, let's do a little rewind. 4-hour structure sweep, see it here. 4-hour structure point is here, okay. We tap into the fair value gap here. This is also a daily fair value gap. Obviously, we have a ton of fair value gaps below us here, okay. Then we have the choppy move up, no momentum at all, to re-sweep the news liquidity or re-sweep the initial sweep. And then we have all this liquidity pool resting, news liquidity here, session liquidity, all the fair value gaps below. We are so high on the high time frame. We are even high on a day trading perspective because we are over 8:30, we are over midnight, okay? So this is just premium prices, perfect for sales. Okay, I covered this, I covered this. Let me just go through my list. Everything before TP is mitigated. We talked about this. It's all choppy, all already mitigated. We have the clean momentum shift, boom down, fair value gap, fair value gap. This also looks super clean on the M15. We have fair value gaps on the M15 too. And just so beautiful, unbelievable. How can this be so clean? Inducement high around the entry area. This is also a nice confluence when you have that in your 2RR. This is my personal preference to enter a trade. In the 2RR area, we have an inducement high, which is a magnet for price. And also another tiny little liquidity pool that feeds the last, injects the last liquidity into the move lower. So perfect stuff. Ah, yes, one thing I forgot, okay? We actually formed just before my entry. And I would have preferred, or I would have, normally I prefer to see something like this closing below this wick, okay? But equally valid, in my opinion, is to put exact equals. And this is just what we do. We put exact equals here. So we have another liquidity pool just under my entry. This is perfect stuff. And this is the last confluence. Check out how this actually gets retested here. Once, twice, on the absolute tick. This is crazy. I just noticed this now. Look at this. 1, 2, and then from the other side, 3, 4. Unbelievable. Guys, I'm so happy that this setup occurred, man. And it's not even, the outcome is really just a cherry on top. This was so beautiful. And I hope you understand that this was worth discussing in detail, because this is literally, I have this day trading setup here, textbook day trade. This is like something I did so long ago. And this really makes this thing competition. Maybe this is gonna be my new textbook day trade in my bookmarks here. So guys, I'm not gonna talk more now. It's enough now. So if you have any questions, what do I mean by this, what do I mean by that, but isn't this invalidating or isn't this invalidating, just shoot me a comment. We can always talk about it. I'm happy that you're watching this, especially to the end, but I know it's a long one, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Take care.